Since Donald Trump received the task of the American presidency in the White House, what has consistently analyzed and surveys about the current president to stop. Even while their major European media, Der Spiegel, the German publication of a cartoon on the cover, shows Trump, a knife-wielding smudge, the blood of decapitated to erect a Statue of Liberty, which boasts the United States along its modern history. Trump, which means that the new U.S. administration are the true face of contemporary America that proved Petram as a curse humanity in modern history. Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japanese to Vietnam, Africa and the Near and Middle East, and the crimes of Israel and everything in between. Of the American administration's performance of President Truman through Eisenhower to Obama, as they were all Trumpian, but diplomatic masks, and conquering political and rape was a veto in the United Nations, or by standing to the side of Israel was aggression or armament and political capital until Israel goes to what it is now. Exclamation mark. So in my opinion, that the advent of Trump humble truth is continuing in the U.S. approach, but the mentality of the contractor is not the mentality of tweaking and political spin, which stopped as we see the nature of the speed of convergence between Trump and Netanyahu, who took him, warns thinkers of the World Jewish and Zionist lobby, because it brings people to the memory years 30s of the last century, the rise of Hitler and Mussolini, fascism and Nazism, which also brought democratic elections. Iftiamelgate Tazarda mini-states at the time. As if Israel, President Trump, who exhausts academic Zionist Judaism, fear of fertilizing the American ground, fascist Israeli fertilizer Jew who may come a few settlements, turn a blind eye to it. President Trump. But it will be the inevitable truth that led by example, Jewish, Israeli ugly force of attraction Semitism throughout globe, this Israeli feeling Netanyahu and the Israeli right, supporting the U.S. Trump's right. It will also act as a guarantor to blow up the excitement in the world and nations against Jews and Israel, as well as all that he will remain in history and documentation also been associated with Nazism and its allies aggressively, and Shufa faith and racist Hitler and Mussolini, and now Petram, the current U.S. president, and forever, which may be a curse not a blessing on the Jews and Israel, even expanded settlements and Palestinian blood pools in the region and the Arab world, which must be exploited and work to raise governed according to plan, impair study and hard work. What Israel wants from the new U.S. president is, who got it from all previous administrations, and how they see the American president Israel. U.S.-Israeli relations from President Truman even President Obama. As stated in the book, Dennis Ross is doomed to success. The only valve in U.S. foreign policy in the Middle East is the commitment of all U.S. administrations to the security and survival of Israel. Commitment to excellence and qualitative military edge on the rest of the Arab states. And the stability of relations between them does not mean there are some disparities from department to department, and the varying approaches and vision which sees America's role in Israel. The U.S. Supreme Strategy. Throughout certain such as management of Truman and Reagan and Clinton and George W. Bush emphasizes the shared values that govern the relationship. Here are the obligation of any other considerations. The religious dimension is clear, linking the survival of Israel and the return of the Messiah. Here fundamentalist Christianity plays an important role. There are other departments such as Administration Eisenhower, Nixon, George Bush Sr. See the relationship from the perspective of its zero with his allies from the Arab countries. I went and said relations with Israel may carry with it the amount of damage to the relationship with the Arab countries. The Obama administration, which ended its relationship in Aqban compact military is unprecedented with Israel reached $38 billion Al-Tizama the security and survival of Israel, and to refrain from voting for Resolution 2334, which condemns all settlement actions in the Palestinian territories, and calls for an end to the Israeli occupation and the adoption of a two-state solution, which was considered by Israel a departure from the U.S. relationship with Israel, and attacked him. This means that, rather than President Obama has abandoned the commitment to the security and survival of Israel. Obama characterized the Obama administration that he has distinguished between the security dimension and the dimension of the political and the right of the U.S. administration that have different views on regional issues. Kalam Alvi Iranian nuclear and settlement and the establishment of a Palestinian state. The question today after President Trump management: how will the relationship, and what could make management more than made by previous administrations? A quick read of the speech Trump the electoral and his inaugural address. We can say that his view may be an extension of the administration of President George W. Bush, the influence of evangelical Christianity and assets of the church, and belonging to the same right-wing thought Al-Tasbi, and the position of radical Islam, and make us go to say that he sees in Israel the same image carried by for the United States, and the beginning of the transformation that has occurred in the Vision Committee IPAC meet him and his commitment to the Jewish vote. Then it was a clear endorsement of what Israel wants. Proposition of President of Trump pressure which seemed practiced by the Obama administration for not abstain from voting on the resolution, and his pledge that tomorrow is not far away, and that everything will change, including the support of the international organization to punish her, and his demand to change the decision and undone, and his pledge to move the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem belt position all the previous administrations that have influenced the delay in implementing the relocation decision, and making it possible to predict his vision and his policy toward Israel. Team who will work with him in this file, appointed Ambassador Himta Friedman in Israel, one of the more supporters of the construction of the settlement, and support for Israel. He pledged management relations of Jerusalem, which has a permanent residence, and appointed Walid Fair's advisor for the Middle East and is known B'Tizh for Israel and his hatred of the Palestinians, and appointed his brother as special envoy for the Middle East and the Department of Negotiation file, known his support for the activity of settlement and Jewish origins. There is no doubt this team is the president may decide to Trump's policy toward Israel, and the question remains what Israel wants from such management. Israel wants far beyond the commitment to the security and survival of Israel, and the financial and military aid, want what is deeper and farther in the relationship. and that shift quality in relations embodied in the signing of an idolater defense pact with U.S. confirms, in addition to the above pledge, that any war against Israel is a war the United States, in the face of common threats such as terrorism and the Iranian nuclear power, and therefore the United States calling for a review of the nuclear agreement, and modify it to ensure that this strategic vision, at the level of the Palestinian issue, Israel wants to completely get rid of the Palestinian issue, in line with the vision of the right, which governs Israel, the disposal first of a two-state solution, and to think about options like home alternative with Jordan and the solution confederation, and aided to human expansion of settlement, annexation of major settlement came all out to Israel. The ability of establishing a state Israel wants is something transfer of the action in this want to make a the relationship benefit of Israel even to the huge jet at the exists in the region. Wants to get rid of these demands and cause all the resolution national erased from these archives. Israel get rid of the Palestinian cause, but despite all the position and seas have failed, what has failed to play president through the imposition of political solutions to settle wasted right of the Palestinian people in his state, and the right to self-determination. The question remains to say, have President Trump's amendment to these demands and excess of the U.S. ability to implement them? This is what has been revealed in the next 4 years. The remainder will of the United States as a country of the largest institution per capita of President Trump. The policy promises and demands its implementation depend on the urban Palestinian position and the determinants of U.S. policy in the region, and many challenges that await Trump. The question remains, what is the role that can be played by his brother, Russian coordinator for the peace process? There is a chance